Welcome to a new year and a new decade, everyone. And I have a feeling it's going to be one of the most transformational and adventurous decades of my life. And I'm really hoping I get to share it with all of you. And I wanted to just talk about that for a little bit because once again, it's been a while since I've had a chance to speak to all of you heart to heart here in our little greenhouse. And I wanted to talk about what's coming up for the new year because 2020 is going to be a really amazing and busy year for me. And I also realized that that was intimidating. I've actually spent the last several weeks journaling and meditating for hours, trying to use the new year to draft up my list of goals and resolutions. Because for years now, I've made lists of goals, I've made resolutions, I've meticulously planned out almost every one of my days. I've focused everything that I am on trying to be as productive as possible so that I could work towards or away from big things that I had going on in my life, so I could climb out of student loan debt, so that I could try to improve my health, so that I could try to get out of bad relationships that were destroying me, so that I could try to stabilize good relationships that mean so much to me. So this year, I mean, this is going to be one of the biggest years of my life ever. I'm getting married. I have a bunch of family stuff going on that I kind of want to save the fun things and the sad things to tell you guys about in a minute here, but Chips and I may also be moving to Taiwan. There's a lot happening almost every month of the year, and we just got started. So it really felt like I had a responsibility to be mature enough and wise enough and grown enough to sit down at the beginning of the year and look over everything that was going to happen and improve myself even more to be able to handle all of it. So when the new year rolled around, I sat down and then I immediately gave myself an anxiety attack for not just a day, not just a couple days, but for almost 2 weeks, trying to come up with this list of expectations from myself and from life for the next year, and trying to come up with ways where I could outsmart the future and come up with some daily itinerary to do every single day so that I can prove myself. Okay, because that's what you see around you everywhere, right? I mean, think about the kind of goals that people write down for their New Year's resolutions. They write down things like lose 40 pounds or write a book, or they want to practice a language every day for at least half an hour. And those goals all end up becoming like your daily regime. They all end up becoming the structure to your day. And especially because I work from home, I know it's important to provide myself with some structure to my day. And in the past, that's how I've lived. And I think that is part of how I've managed to get to 8,000 videos on the main channel and work really hard in the ever-shifting seas of YouTube to create YouTube as my full-time career when there is no guideline for what that means or how it works, how it could work, or what it does for your life. There's no guidelines at all to enter the life that I'm living right now. And I thought I could outsmart the possibilities of the future if I could just continually improve myself. And part of that was coming up with these yearly lists and resolutions of searching inside myself and finding the places that I felt there were flaws, there was room for improvement, and making that pass-fail checklist of resolutions. Do this and I will pass the year. And the pressure of it all when I cannot predict what is going to happen with my life over the next year just kept driving me into anxiety. And finally, I sat down and I thought, this is just ridiculous. This is going to be one of the best years of my life. It's understandable that I'm nervous and anxious about how I will handle it, but is coming up with a list of like doing yoga every morning, followed by joy journaling at least 3 things, followed by working on at least 6 videos, followed by doing this, really gonna help me cope and handle what the future is going to hold? And something really cool happened that I wanted to share with all of you. I realized all of the goals and resolutions that I've made every year absolutely had nothing to do with the things that I remembered as being the most joyful, life-enriching, transformational, fulfilling moments of my life in the last few years. I realized that all of those goals I was trying to come up with, not one of them ended up becoming something that I was so happy to have spent my year on. Last year, everything that happened last year that I loved, that really transformed me, I could not predict. There was no way I could slot that in on my calendar. There was no way that I knew it was going to happen until those things happened to me. I did not know we were going to be moving back from Michigan here to North Carolina until like we suddenly were told that our lease was going up by $400, and if we wanted to stay at our rental unit, we had to pay that much more money, and we didn't expect that. So I couldn't have put that down on my resolution. Handle the move from Michigan to North Carolina with grace. I couldn't have predicted that. I couldn't have put it down. And now that we're down here, we're very happy for the time that we're here. We're very grateful that we're here. And the opportunity to go and I'm still so excited every time I trip over my words when I remember I did this, but to go to San Diego, California, to go to the San Diego Zoo, to feed Galapagos tortoises with my own hands, with my own, I gotta put my tea down because this is how excited I get about this, with my own 2 hands handing the tortoises bok choy and trying to make sure Aldo didn't eat my dress. Doing that with the Planet Zoo group, that was absolutely out of the left field, as they say. I couldn't have predicted that. I could not have sat down at the beginning of the year and put that down on my resolutions. And I actually can't really pinpoint, other than just trying to continue to create things that really resonate with me as Seri the pixel biologist, how that opportunity was offered to me either. So it's not like I could have said to myself in January, look Seri, you might have the opportunity to work with Planet Zoo if you sit down and make sure that you record these kinds of episodes. I didn't know that recording more zoo crafting or recording like hundreds of episodes of Duty Tycoon 2 5 years ago would end up with me feeding Galapagos tortoises in the San Diego Zoo this last year. Those were not things I could have predicted. And then Chip's proposing. That was something I never thought was going to happen and absolutely could not have predicted. So him proposing to me, my upcoming wedding to him, our marriage that we are going to be building together, all of those amazing things that happened to me last year had nothing to do with meeting my daily goals of productivity or self-improvement. And honestly, I realized that actually all of the mental space, all of the stress, the energy, trying so hard to make sure that I actually achieved those goals and met those goals. We're gonna scoot you out of the sun just a little, friends. There we go. Like my plants? But I realized that trying to accomplish those goals actually wore me out more than it really seemed to help. And I just wanted to share that with you guys too, because I think if you're like me and you really put a high value on those self-imposed goals that you create for yourself, those self-imposed resolutions, it's because you're trying so desperately to make sure that you continue to improve your life, that you continue to do good in your life. And when I look back on some of the times and the opportunities I've turned down hanging out with family, or I've turned out traveling to see family because I had these goals I felt I had to meet that no one gave me, I just made up because I thought they would make me into a better person or a stronger person. I realized that those goals probably just ended up taking energy away from being in the moment. And that's the biggest realization I had for what I want out of this next year and maybe this entire next phase of my life. I want to give up big yearly goals and resolutions because I don't know if they actually have helped me. I don't think they've served me as well as I thought. I think that they're really addictive and fun because it feels like you can plan out some of the impossible for your whole year. But a year is a long time. It's a lot of months, several seasons, and I think we always underestimate how much we're going to change in a year. And I know we underestimate what's going to happen in a year. When I sat down and thought through everything that happened in 2019, everything I felt, the moments that emerged out of just the organic, ever-changing nature of life, I realized it's pretty futile to try to predict what's going to happen from year to year and month to month. And I wish I had put more energy into appreciating the opportunities that I had right then, instead of trying to meet some artificial goal I created believing it would improve my life. The long story short of this is I don't think those long goals help you after a point. I think they helped me in previous years, and I don't think that everybody should just toss out goals that will take that long to achieve. They helped me when I was really trying to focus on my health and needed to lose a ton of weight in order to really manage my health better. They helped me when I needed to have an exit plan to leave a very abusive relationship. They helped me when I needed to figure out how to clean up the mess I made of flunking out of university 3 times and having a huge mountain of student loans to deal with afterward. They helped me when I needed to learn how to build healthy daily habits for myself. But now that all of those things are done, now that I've achieved creating a system of growth that works on a day-to-day basis in my life, now that I can trust myself to choose the thing that will be good for me, good for those around me, and good for developing and growing my life, even if I don't know what the exact thing will be yet, I want to let go of having big yearly resolutions and goals. Because I think when you know in your heart that you're at a point where they're kind of artificial, where you're just putting down, read 100 books a year because you're hoping that'll improve your life. When you're just putting down, do like yoga 3 times a week because you're hoping it will improve your life, but you're not actually present in what's available, the unique and ever-changing opportunities that are only going to be in your life for a season, then I think it's time to let go of yearly goals. I think it's time to let go of those self-imposed ideas of improvement, and it's time to turn your attention to the opportunities that are around you right then. One of the worst things I think thinking on a yearly scale has done for me is that I began to see everything as being organized by time. I could just organize this opportunity by time, I could organize that opportunity by time, and that's not the way life actually works. It's a lot messier than that, and I think sometimes we don't like being reminded of that. But the opportunities we have to sit down with family today might be gone tomorrow. The opportunities we have to go to see a movie everyone's talking about with a friend today might not come back next year. And Chips and I have a lot planned for the next year. We are going to be traveling to see family in February. We're going to be traveling to see more family and for some of his conferences in March. We're getting married and traveling to see family in April. We're traveling to see family again in May. And then we're moving to Taiwan, most likely, either for 3 months, guaranteed at this point, or for up to a year, in July. I couldn't draft a daily schedule that I could stick to. I mean, I could draft a daily regime and a daily schedule to slap down on every single one of those days like a stencil and make every one of those days, whether I'm in Missouri, whether I'm in a wedding dress, whether I'm in Taiwan. I could make a daily schedule right now with a list of resolutions that said absolutely no matter what else is going on in my life, this daily expectation, this list of yearly resolutions has to fit. I could do that, and I think it would be horrible. I think it would be a huge mistake. I think it wouldn't honor at all the opportunities that are just going to organically pop up like a surprise little flower on the path of my life in only be there if I'm there to pay attention to them. All of the things that were really great and wonderful in my life last year, I realized were unexpected things I couldn't have predicted were going to happen. But because I was able to stop everything else, put all of my goals and my huge never-ending pile of productivity to-do list checklist to the side, and because I focused on those opportunities when they popped up last year, they blossomed into something amazing and wonderful. And like many things in my life, I realized it comes back to garden metaphors. If you are a gardener, you may not know exactly how your garden's going to look from season to season. You know the basics of what you need to do to maintain your garden, or in this case, your life. You know the basics of what it takes to be able to take the seeds that show up and plant them and grow them. But you may not know exactly what seeds you're going to find that year. You may not know what the weather's going to be like, or if a terrible storm might knock down some of your garden, or if something really amazing might happen and a plant that you were taking care of spreads like out of control in a wonderful way you never expected. I think that that is the phase of life I'm ready to be in now. A gardener of my life. Looking for the projects, the opportunities, the organic opportunities of life that are just going to emerge and I can't predict. I think that that is a much better way to live when I have no idea exactly where I'm going to be a year from now. Am I going to be in Taiwan? Am I going to have visited Japan? Am I going to be here? I don't know. And trying to come up with a vision of my 2020 and beyond. And no wonder it was so fruitless, and no wonder I was giving myself anxiety, because I literally don't know where I will be. But I don't think that means I need to be filled with anxiety of the unknown either, if I can trust myself to be a good gardener and steward of my life, and deal with each project as it comes along. So I wanted to give that to you guys as an alternative to coming up with a list. A big daily checklist of self-improvement like I have used for so long and I realized just will not work in my life anymore. Because I also think it's distracting. I juggle so many projects, and one of the reasons I fall behind is because I try to keep up with this daily list of to-do projects. And if I just stopped and focused on one project for a few days at a time, I think that everything would be a lot better. So using the garden metaphor, I'm thinking about focusing on less projects. And you can only take care of so many garden beds at one time. And I'm thinking about keeping my eye open for the organic, random seeds that may float into my life that I could try planting. Because I think those are the things that will be unexpected and beautiful and worth giving a try, even if it doesn't sprout or turn out the way I thought. And that's just the compass I'm gonna start living with this year. Trusting in myself that I will be able to handle whatever comes because I've done the work to set up the systems to make my life at least somewhat always oriented towards growth, and just letting go of the rest. Letting go of trying to know how many days in a row will I be able to do my daily morning yoga. I'll just cope with it day to day. I'll just treat that as a project that I can show up every day and see if I have time for. And if I'm not able to meet it, I'm not going to give myself the intensity of a pass-fail that resolutions have. I'm just going to accept today's organic nature of life means that I'm too busy getting ready for my wedding to do my yoga this morning. And that's fine. And then I'll come back to it later if it's right for me. And that feels like freedom. And it feels like being alive. And it feels like being able to look at life not by the set of months on a calendar, not in terms of a year, but it feels like being able to look around and see life for all the opportunities that it has. And to desync the idea that I have to make these projects grow on a certain schedule, it really feels wonderful because it feels like it's more respectful to myself. It feels like it's more respectful to the projects that I have in my life. I'm thinking about things like my joy journaling, I'm thinking about things like doing the yoga that I do every morning now that I really love. I'm thinking about things like the opportunity that I have next month to go visit a friend for his birthday, and then go visit my family and hold my new nephew who will be born in 6 days. I'm thinking about being able to just be present for those things, and instead of consider them distractions on the path to my yearly goals, where those things I just couldn't have predicted. I mean, I can't predict how like some of these things will go. I can't predict if they'll exist. And in the past, those opportunities, like to do something that pops up, for instance, Chips wants to go to Bald Head Island on a romantic getaway to celebrate being engaged for a month. And I couldn't predict that. I couldn't put that down on my scale and my resolutions. But if something that beautiful and an opportunity that wonderful feels like it's distracting me, or a deviation from the list of how I will live my life for the year, then that list needs to be tossed out. And I want to live in a way where living my life over the next year is taking care of the basics, nurturing some projects that mean a lot to me, like all of the work that we do on the main channel and here, and then nurturing and growing and focusing on the opportunities that come to me as they arrive. Things that I can't predict, things that I'm no longer going to set down on a strict schedule and expect to be done in a very productive manner. I think I'm gonna get a lot further if I just give myself permission to have the space and the time to focus on it in my own way. And that's where the year will go. And I don't know if you needed to hear any of that, but I feel like I needed to say it. So thank you guys for listening to my ramble about how 2020 will go. But I think I just introduced how I'm going to live a lot of the next decade of my life as well. Project by project, moment by moment, opportunity by opportunity, with a healthy system running along in the background to support myself physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially, just making sure that all of the basics are met and there's room to spend time gardening and focusing on the organic seeds that come by. And I think that I won't have any regrets if I live like that. But we'll see. So welcome to 2020, guys. I have weddings. I'm going to have 2 new nephews being born. At least I think one may be a nephew. It's too early to tell on that one. I'm going to possibly move to Taiwan with Chips for anywhere from a few months to a year. We might possibly be giving away and storing everything we own except for 2 backpacks and becoming nomadic travelers in the world. And we have some family who's pretty sick right now with critically ill diseases that could go either way. It's a wild ride. And I haven't even seen what other opportunities might be around me to get started on. So welcome to the new year, welcome to the new decade, and I can't wait to share all of it with you, one little garden project at a time.